Well, it looks like I was kinda right about the space rares. Hello and welcome back to Cryptid Nation News. I am the One-Eyed Crow, and today we're here to talk about the news updates from July 31st to August 6th. Starting off, we're going into our third year with MetaZoo. The Kickstarter kicked off about 2 years ago and was released around sometime in March, with CN1 to follow about a year ago. To celebrate the second birthday of MetaZoo, they released a new card called Second Anniversary Celebration, which is the next version of First Anniversary Celebration that was released last year. The art on this card is a Flatwoods monster holding 2 UFO-themed balloons. It costs 1 neutral aura to contract and can be contracted anytime a neutral spell is played by an opposing caster. Now, what this card allows you to do is to change the text on the opposing caster's neutral spell to each caster bookmarks 1. And this is really important because it combats a lot of neutral spells in the game, well, all neutral spells in the game really, most notably New Year's New Beginnings, which forces you to get rid of your entire hand and draw 7 new cards. Playing it against New Year's New Beginning could save your hand from being sent to the cemetery, or could change the tide of the game by not allowing your opponent to get a new hand. Personally, I look forward to having this in my competitive deck, and this will ship at the end of August. We got to look at the Hiroquest Fat Pack that will be included with the Hiroquest CD, and we're still a little over a month from Hiroquest. It's going to be releasing mid-September. Now, judging by the size of this pack, I would imagine that the card is actually going to fit in sideways, not up and down, as this does seem like a fatter pack with the crimping at the top and bottom. The Faded Spade Kickstarter is finally starting to ship out to everybody, and this will be rolled out over the next couple weeks, so if you haven't got your shipment yet, wait. Now, the card boxes did get the Cryptid designs printed on the boxes as they were shown in the Kickstarter campaign, and this is something I wasn't sure was going to happen because the teases that they gave us about a month ago had the uncut sheets of these boxes, and they were pretty blank. So it looks like they printed this on top of those blank boxes after the fact. We also got a preview of stacks upon stacks of art cards from the Kickstarter add-ons, and the set closest to the camera here is Cryptid Nation, and we can see many familiar characters, such as the Loveland Frogman, Pugwudgie, Sam Sinclair, Gigi Bird, Dingbell, Red Ink, and many others. Last week wrapped up the Roswell event on August 1st, and Mike had a huge list of people to thank for helping with the event, including the artist, event organizers, MZO, MetaZoo staff, and some community members such as Gary King MetaZoo, LPA, Dr. Applesauce, and Harley over at EpicTube HD. Interestingly enough, in that announcement, Mike had said we wrapped up everything in Roswell yesterday, and we'll be sharing plans to make Roswell MetaZoo's Cosmic Welcome Center soon. Now, I wonder what a Cosmic MetaZoo Welcome Center would look like. Maybe a tower? And I believe that there are strong hints that Salem will not only be the release event for Seance, but a tower event, and maybe even the first. If Salem happens to be the first tower event for MetaZoo, which is most likely the Spirit Tower, they would then have to run a tower event every 2 weeks to be able to get through all 10 towers and have a short break before the next Caster's Cup. And that's assuming that the Caster's Cup is going to be around the same time of year as this year. Now, as we get on to talking about Seance this week, we got a look at a second card in the set. Last week, we got a look at the planchette, and this week we have these 2 witches blasting a robotic creature with what I assume is a spirit spell. The witch on the left actually looks surprised and has an exclamation point to denote the fact that she is surprised. This could mean that she didn't expect the spell to work, and we may actually be looking at the witches contracting or summoning the beastie instead. And alongside that artwork, it was confirmed that Seance will be going to the printers this week. So this likely means that playtesting is about to conclude if it hasn't already, and that the cards are in their final forms and ready to be printed. UFO is in full swing, and there are people opening up UFO everywhere. On the 22nd of August, you'll be able to buy the UFO eBay Lunchbox. And this is a metal lunchbox design that features art with Lechuza and Sky Snake battling. It was confirmed that the lunchbox will have 5 eBay branded UFO packs, as well as another 5 packs that will be a mix of either CN2, Nightfall, Wilderness, or UFO. And alongside the packs inside the lunchbox will be sleeves, unique dice, an exclusive coin, and more. And what could that and more be? Well, when this was originally teased, it was teased alongside a thermos. So many people are hoping that a thermos is included in the lunchbox. Now, these types of products usually sell around the $5 per pack price point, so I'd imagine we're looking at somewhere between $50 and $60 since it's not a basic cardboard box. At the end of that same week, on the 26th of August, you'll be able to buy the UFO binder, and the binder will be silver and feature many of the beasties that we know from UFO, including the Chusa, Mike the Headless Chicken, Graze, Griddle Greaser Pete, and many more. Now, if you haven't been checking Target recently, it's time to start doing that. The Smokey Bear blisters are starting to show up in the stores. We have an image posted by Andy showing a Smokey Bear blister on hangers in a Target store, and I checked my local store at the end of last week. It didn't have it yet, but I imagine that depending on how the deployment of these blisters is going out as controlled by Target, they're going to be showing up over the next 1 to 3 weeks. And I previously reported that these would have Target branded Wilderness cards based on something that I heard in an interview between Mike and I believe it was Harley, and that looks like it's not the case here with Wilderness. So what I assumed that I misinterpreted was that in UFO we're going to start seeing Target branded cards. Mike had asked the Discord if we should start adopting some highways. And honestly, this is a great idea for marketing. From the Adopt a Highway website, the marketing reach and impact of Sponsor a Highway goes far beyond the miles cleaned. Our sponsor's logo signs are visible all day, every day, reaching tens of thousands of commuters. In fact, in many areas, Sponsor a Highway signs are the only way to get a company name and logo on the highway. Sponsors get recognition for being socially conscious, increase brand awareness, and the community gets litter-free roadways. Now, what's interesting here is many states don't allow billboards, especially on the highway. They want to preserve a natural aesthetic for those driving on the highway. So in a way, Sponsor a Highway could be used to get around billboard restrictions and get MetaZoo's name out there on a highway for high traffic areas. And you have to remember that the demographic for MetaZoo right now is people, mostly males, between the ages of 25 and 32, or at least that's what YouTube tells me. So the demographic that is currently interested in MetaZoo, mostly for that nostalgia factor, are the same demographic that are most likely driving on highways to commute to and from work. Mike and Andy spent some time in Hollywood touring animation studios last week, and this is a really good sign that things are moving along with the IP. Alongside that, they teased that MetaZoo is actually going to start with shorts. And this is really interesting, so these could be used as a way to get lore for MetaZoo in front of people before the true IP, the video game, the show, the movies, start dropping. Or this could be used to then tell the individual lore of each beastie to give more background information on what the beasties are and where they come from. So I'm really excited to see what MetaZoo does with these shorts and what they're going to look like in the future. We got a look at the cover of a document called A Visual Guide to the First Book, MetaZoo Cryptid Nation, and this is essentially a template document for the video game, show, and movie adaptations of the story. This helps ensure that the IP stays true to the source material as it continues to be produced amongst many different verticals. This guide is illustrated by Seb, and I have to say, this is the best Piazza art I've ever seen. And that's not to knock anybody that's already done art for Piazza Bird, it's just not my favorite looking beastie, but the way that Seb has designed this version of Piazza Bird, it just hits different. So I really hope that we get to see this version of Piazza Bird on a card in the future. If you've been waiting to get a taste of Bigfoot juice, sorry. Can't say that with a straight face. The sale of the Bigfoot juice, nope, can't do it. The sale will start for that on August 14th at 3 p.m. and the supply will be limited. From the tease here, we can see that it will be a 60 serving tub. Looking at the GamerSupps website, this runs for about $30. I don't know if there will be an additional cost because of the promo. And that promo is an exclusive Bigfoot card that generates Forest Aura every time it attacks. Now from the announcement, it's unclear if this is going to take place on the MetaZoo Marketplace or GamerSupps. I would honestly assume that this is going to be a direct from GamerSupps sale. Collecticon Long Beach is soon approaching, starting on August 20th, and it was announced this week that there will be pre-sale of the MetaZoo Invasion Toys at Collecticon Long Beach, and they're going to have their exclusive variants. The two that we know so far that will be available at Collecticon Long Beach are Poltergeist and Purple Blob of Philadelphia. Andy also dropped this image here that we've seen before and trademarked soon. This was originally dropped back in May, and the hint here was that it's ultra premium and not a book. This does have the Cryptid Nation red color to it and raised images of beasties from Cryptid Nation, so this is very Cryptid Nation themed. And the running theory on this was that it was going to be related to deck boxes for MetaZoo, but I believe that has also been debunked. Now, other than the Kickstarter, I don't know anything that's going all the way back to Cryptid Nation currently, so this could be related to the Kickstarter, or something that we don't know about yet. A few weeks back, Turmentic had been a special guest here doing the trivia for us. He did a lore-based trivia question. I'm really happy to announce that Turmentic has reached 500 subscribers, and as part of that is doing a giveaway in the Caster's Corner Discord. There's a link to the Caster's Corner Discord in the description below, and all you need to do is join that Discord, go to the giveaways channel, and react to the giveaway post, and you could win either a UFO booster box or one of the 5 UFO theme decks. The giveaway ends on August 10th, just before 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Congratulations, Turmentic, for reaching 500. And if you're watching this channel and you haven't watched Turmentic's videos yet, I highly recommend you do. He does readings of the MetaZoo chapters, so if you need to catch up on those, you can turn those on, listen to him on your ride to work. And he also does some really fun and entertaining dives into the lore of specific cryptids. I'm also really excited to announce that Caster MJ and Deadly of the Caster's Corner Discord had reached out to me to join them on a new podcast called Cryptid Conversations. And I'm really excited for this podcast because these news updates are a great way for me to reach out to the community to let you know what's going on. And in the podcast, I can have some more candid conversations about my opinions on things and bounce ideas off of Caster MJ and Deadly. So if you want to get a better idea of who I am, what I think of the game, and certain aspects of it, I highly suggest you check that out. The end screen at the end of this video will have the link to go to the first episode of the podcast, which dropped on Friday. And before we get to the top story, last week we didn't do a trivia question. Instead, I had asked what your favorite UFO card was. And if you were to answer that, you're going to be on the spin wheel here, and we're going to spin this to figure out who gets a $15 gift card to Immortal Workshop. And there was a lot of great answers here. From UFO to Men in Black, Van Meter Visitor, LeChusa, there was such a broad spectrum of what people enjoy from UFO. And the winner is Doug Middlestead. And for this week, again, there's going to be no trivia. What I'd like you to do instead is go over to the Caster's Corner YouTube. I'll put a link in the description below for this, or you can wait until the end screen, and the featured video will be the first episode of Cryptid Conversations. Simply go to that video and leave a comment, and you'll be entered into next week's drawing for a $15 gift card to Immortal Workshop. It's that simple. You don't even have to watch it. I wish you would, but you don't have to. For this week's top story, we're going to talk about the secret rares again. We've already actually started seeing some of the space rares being pulled out of the UFO products. Last week I talked about my theory on which of the 12 beasties were sent into space, and my list of beasties was Sky Snake, Gargantuan Gliders, Galrao, UFO, LeChusa, Greys, Black Demon, Foo Fighters, Mike the Headless Chicken, the Monster of Partridge Creek, Roboflowers, and Casablanca Entities, and we've seen 5 space rares pulled so far. We have Galrao, Foo Fighters, Roboflowers, the Monster of Partridge Creek, and Rougarou. Ruh-roh. You heard it here, folks. I was wrong. My choice of Casablanca Entities was not the Dark Beastie that was sent into space. Now, last week I showcased Galrao and Foo Fighters, since those were already leaked ahead of the UFO release. And this week, our new ones are Roboflowers, and the alternate art here was created by Poncho, and that can be seen floating amongst a satellite in an asteroid belt. The art for the Monster of Partridge Creek depicts the monster in an icy cavern with what I assume is Pluto in the background. The Rougarou alternate art was done by Lily and features Rougarou, a werewolf beastie, atop a cliff, howling at the moon. Now I'm going to be honest, this card here, the alternate art Rougarou, has become my ultimate chase card for UFO. I know I'm never going to get one, but this is hands down my favorite card of the set. Now, there's a really interesting discovery with these cards that Dad Hat, a community member, had pointed out, and it's that each of these alternate art cards has a constellation in the background. And these constellations align with the zodiac. The 5 constellations that have been revealed so far are Virgo for Rougarou, Libra for Roboflowers, Taurus for Galrao, Pisces for the Monster of Partridge Creek, and Sagittarius for Foo Fighters. We also know from an image teased back in April of Gargantuan Gliders that the Capricorn constellation is in the background of that image. Now, the interesting theory that Dad Hat had pointed out is that what is the connection between space and spirit? Or in our case, what's the connection between UFO and Seance? And that's the Zodiac. And I can't even begin to guess what the other beasties that were sent to space would align to for the constellations of the Zodiac, so I'm not even gonna try. If you want to keep track of the space rares as they're being pulled, there is a site you can go to, and I'll put a link in the description below, that is run by a community member, Alan Jai. This site was originally put together to track Green Man serialized cards from Wilderness, but has been adapted to the space rares for UFO. And that's all I really wanted to cover for this week, so if you want to check out that podcast that Caster's Corner and myself have started, you can check that out right here. I highly suggest you do. In this first video, we just introduce who we are and talk about how we got into MetaZoo. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.